Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, we thank Assistant Secretary General Khalid Keri for his briefing to the Council this morning. We have also heard with sympathy the statement of Mr. Sharabi and commiserate with him on the loss of his family. Madam President, civilians have been the central victim of the current war in Gaza and the occupied Palestinian territories. Hostage-taking is prohibited under international law and constitutes a violation of fundamental humanitarian principles. The protection of civilians must be ensured in full compliance with international humanitarian law, including the Fourth Geneva Convention. However, international law must be applied uniformly, universally, and consistently. The issue of the humanitarian violations must encompass the plight of the thousands of Palestinians who have suffered during this war. We cannot forget the thousands of Palestinians, including women and children, who remain arbitrarily detained, subjected to torture, and held in inhumane conditions in Israeli prisons. Many have lost their lives due to mistreatment and medical neglect. Our colleague from Algeria has just outlined this suffering of Palestinian detainees. The international community must not turn a blind eye to their suffering. Justice and human rights cannot be applied selectively. For illustration, the recent report of the Commission of Inquiry stated that Israel's systematic use of sexual, reproductive, and other forms of gender-based violence since October 7, 2023, and it found, and I quote, Israeli forces have committed the crime against humanity of persecution based on gender. Madam President, we must turn to ending the suffering in Gaza, in the occupied Palestinian territories, and in the region. The ceasefire agreement facilitated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States offered a glimmer of hope. It led to the release of hostages and temporarily alleviated the suffering of the Palestinian people. Yet, tragically, this opportunity was sabotaged by the political interests of some Israeli politicians who prioritized their survival through the continuation of the war. We condemn the resumption of Israel's attacks on Gaza and the indiscriminate killing of Palestinian civilians through bombardments through the air as well as artillery. We also deplore the killing of the UNOPS official and the UNRWA members and commiserate with their families. And we must ask whether this resumption of war is good for the hostages. Is it good for the Palestinians? Certainly not. The ongoing attacks, blockade, mass displacement, and relentless bombardment have created an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe. The Palestinians are being killed indiscriminately and with impunity. This is not the way to secure the release of the hostages. Madam President, Pakistan reiterates its urgent call for the full and immediate resumption and implementation of the ceasefire agreement in all its phases. This must include permanent cessation of hostilities, the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, unrestricted humanitarian access, and a comprehensive reconstruction plan for Gaza. We support the full implementation of Security Council Resolution 2735. This would be the best way to secure the release of the hostages. Madam President, while Pakistan supports all efforts to alleviate human suffering and ensure the humane treatment of all civilians, we must not lose sight of the root cause of this endless cycle of violence and suffering. Israel's illegal occupation of the Palestinian territories, its persistent violations of international law, and its indiscriminate military actions against the innocent and helpless people of Gaza continues to fuel instability and conflict in the Middle East. We saw some hope in the proposed Arab and OIC plan for recovery and reconstruction of Gaza. It offered a realistic path to peace. We believe that this path must be reinstated. A just and lasting peace can only be achieved through the revival of a credible and irreversible political process towards a two-state solution, leading to the establishment of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state within the pre-1967 borders, with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. The upcoming June conference, co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia, presents an important opportunity to advance the peaceful resolution of the Palestinian question and to implement the two-state solution in accordance with international law and UN resolutions. Thank you, Madam President.